Welcome to Heartfelt with Julie Margerison podcast. I am so excited with the guest I have today, and I'm so looking forward to hearing all about her story. And we have Jerry, who is a reinvention coach, a facilitator, and a thought leadership mentor, helping women reclaim their voice. I've got a bit of a scratchy voice at the moment, trust themselves deeply and reinvent what's possible in midlife. After building and leading a $500 million transactional property law business, Jerry experienced her own powerful reinvention through divorce, relocation, entrepreneurship, and personal transformation. Today, she combines executive leadership experience with emotional intelligence and deep self-trust work to help people move beyond overthinking, self-doubt, and feeling stuck. Her work is known for being honest, grounding, empowering, and deeply human, helping women step into their next chapter with courage, clarity, and conviction. Wow, Jerry, I feel like that's where I've been too. So, welcome.
Julie, thank you so much, and thank you so much for having me on your podcast. It's an absolute pleasure and quite humbling, I have to say, to be here.
I'm so grateful that you said yes. And it's amazing to see where so many people have been and where they're heading and where they are at the present moment. So, I'm really looking forward to hearing about your story, Jerry.
Yeah, thanks, Julie. I'm actually curious to know, what got you into doing your podcast and doing the work that you do.
Well, I slammed the door on myself over 20 years ago. I was all about, I'd written a book called My Way to Happiness, and I tried to sneak out of my little hole I was in. But with life and marriage, I slammed that door shut, and here I am opening it up 20 years later. And well, not quite 20 years, 18 years. And I've rewritten My Way to Happiness, and it's not far from being out. And I've just been really unpacking so much in the last 6 years since my marriage, my first marriage ended. So I had to get to know self. And I didn't even know what that looked like because I was so much about giving my whole beingness to my marriage.
Yeah.
And it come from childhood stuff, all about people pleasing and yeah, the belief system, the conditioning, and here I am now, really feeling like I'm coming from within. Yeah, and this is why Heartfelt was born because it has been tricky for me to actually share my story and I just like to hear deep and personal stuff about people's growth, not just how's the weather, what's happening out in the big wide world, but really what's happening for self. Yeah, so
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. I think you get to a point in your life where you want to have those deep and meaningful conversations, not just the surface stuff. Yeah, and that got me to a point in my life. But anyway, that's
we
part of my story. We'll get there.
Yeah, yeah, we'll get there. Yeah, so I feel like this is what gets me out of bed every day, to inspire myself to better myself. And then if I can make a ripple effect on people who is around me, then that might give them the encouragement just to challenge that one belief that they've been following for so long and saying, is that really my belief? Or is that someone else's belief?
Yeah,
So, yeah.
amazing.
Okay. Now, are you ready for what brings you joy, Jerry?
Oh, well, I used to think that, that joy was like in big flashy moments. I think that's what I connected to joy. But now it's like I said, meaningful conversations, absolute belly laughs with, stomach cramps with my kids, because I think get my humor more than most people.
Mhm.
Um, Swimming, I love swimming, just being in that space. And also with my work, witnessing clients having their breakthroughs and releasing, the power and that they have in themselves when they actually choose themselves, when they have that understanding and that, like, oh, I can actually do this,
Mm.
this is what really, brings me joy. And, after living through a lot of chaos in my life, I think, the actual peace that joy brings is actually quite luxurious feeling.
Mm. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. I know that feeling. It's so simple, but so powerful and magical.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's amazing when you finally get into that flow, into that space, that calmness, after being through all of the roller coaster and so on, how much you also want to protect that peace and that joy there
Mm.
becomes very, very important to you.
Yeah, yeah. Do you have a fear that you're aware of that might be holding you back?
Um, yeah, I still experience imposter syndrome. Especially, stepping into new spaces that I'm unfamiliar with. Or bigger visibility. Um, but I'm working on this one. So, and when I look back, most of the major decisions that I've made in my life came actually from curiosity, and intuition, not having certainty. So, whether I was, because I've done many things, a voiceover artist, a marriage celebrant, a ceramicist, I studied at Harvard Business School, of course, or building my property law business. At those times when fear was there, it wasn't something that held me back. It was actually the signal that I needed to focus on. That was the spotlight, and that's where I needed to go forward. And this is how I see fear these days. It's the thing that actually drives me forward.
Mm. Like
Yeah.
a little signpost. It's like, oh, that one's something that I need to look at.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Mm.
And it's amazing when you change your perspective on that and when you start to focus when the fear comes up, like, okay, this is telling me something. What's it telling me?
Mm.
And it
Yeah.
removes a whole lot of pressure, anxieties, it's an incredible tool.
Yeah, beautifully shared. Thank you very much. Have you ever had a life-changing moment that you'd like to share about?
Well, yes, several.
Mm.
Um, but I think one of the biggest was realizing that I could just no longer abandon myself to keep other people comfortable, and leaving my marriage. Well, actually, I've had two marriages, but leaving my second marriage changed absolutely everything for me externally. But the deeper life-changing moment was actually internal. It was I think, I'd spent years outsourcing my own worth, and I'd been ignoring my intuition,
Mm.
and believing that everybody else had the answers, everyone knew better than me. So, yeah, but I realized that, after rebuilding my life, that this has taught me that self-trust is the most important thing for me, that nothing else is more important than the self-trust. Yeah.
I can so relate to what you're talking about. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that. Has there been a moment that you wish you could freeze in time?
Yeah, but some of them I probably can't share here.
Is there a safe one?
A safe one. Um, okay, rather little moments, I think, rather than huge milestones, I think. Um, oh, there's a little bit of emotion coming up there. I think one of the ones when I was, been through a lot of turmoil, chaos with leaving my marriage and sitting around the table with my kids afterwards and actually being able to say, you know what, we're great. We've all got through this, you know. They were my absolute rocks during my divorces. And to be able just to sit there and feel safe in that space together and the feeling that we actually made it. You know, I think when you've lived through some really difficult times, these so-called ordinary moments become, you know, very precious. And
Mm.
this is one that's very clear in my mind. Yeah, I love my kids absolutely just dearly. They're the most precious kidlets in the world. Well, they're
Yeah.
not kids anymore. They're 40 and 38. So
They're always kids. I have a 31 and a 29 and they're always my kids. Yeah. I
absolutely.
call them kidlets too.
Ah, nice. I love that. Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
nice term.
Yeah. Do you have a trigger that you'd like to share about?
Sure. I think one of my triggers is feeling dismissed. And I know this is a childhood thing, and I've, you know, definitely been working on it. Um, it's you know it's not being heard deeply, and I think that you know for women especially, particularly high achieving women, we can spend years being needed for what we do rather than valued for who we actually are. And you know, so when someone really truly listens, it's incredibly healing. But when you feel invisible, it can touch something like very deep from the past that really, you know, that real hotspot. So,
Mhm.
like I said, I'm working on that one, and it's slowly dissipating. Yeah,
Oh, very good.
yeah.
If a genie could jump out of the bottle and grant you one wish, what would that be?
Apart from living healthy, having health span as opposed to lifespan, and living as healthy as possible. Um, I think that I would love for women to actually stop believing that they've missed their moment in their life. Because I think that so many women who I work with, you know, who are midlife, you know, over 50, believe that this is their time for winding down. When
Mm.
actually, you know, it can be the beginning and it is the most empowering, the most truthful and aligned chapter of their lives. You know, I want them to realize that they're not starting over, like they're starting from experience. And you only get
Mm.
that from living a life, right? And this
Mm.
is the work that I do in my reinvention program. It's incredibly powerful for them to see, you know, what they've created in their life, whether it's been a full-time mother, whether they've had a you know a corporate role, you know, whatever, a mix of the two, just you know, being a good person. These are the things that need to be celebrated and built on and shared with others. And when we have time, when we're in our 50s and beyond, this is a moment when, you know, you can do that and really step into this power rather than, okay, well, you know, I'm going to just resign myself so that I've given everything and now I'm just going to, you know, slip into a void of not being seen and, you know, shrinking.
Yeah,
Whereas,
that's right. Shrivel
oh,
up into that little ball. That's the
yeah,
vision I was getting as you were describing that.
yeah.
Yeah.
All about your perspective.
Yeah, rather than being out there and just out there for self, you know.
Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What is something that you've never said out loud that you wish someone would ask you about?
Um, I think I wish that more people asked what it actually costs emotionally to reinvent myself. People often, you know, they comment or they admire about my resilience or my strength or, the business success, or, reinventing myself. But they don't ask about, behind what got me there, the loneliness, the grief, the uncertainty, or the actual rebuilding that happened underneath it. Because I think, strong women are often, supported the least, because I think everyone assumes that, they're fine, they've got it covered, they're all good. But we're just like everybody else. We've gone through a lot to get to where we are. Yeah, and it's nice. It's nice to have that conversation. It's a deeper conversation. Like I said, I love to have deep conversations.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give you the opportunity to share. I'm happy to hold space if you want to do this out in the big wide world, because I feel like for me, that emotional turmoil, chaos, getting to know self so much more is something that you actually have to do internal. And because it's about, yeah, feeling into what has been driving you where, and it's like, well, was that really me, or is that, the conditioning? Did you see that in yourself, Jerry?
Absolutely. Yeah. When I started on my personal growth journey about, ooh, I think it's getting to be about 8 years ago now, 8 to 10 years ago. And, I'd got to rock bottom, lost and alone and, feeling disconnected definitely from myself. But it was only when I got to that point where I just started to question, like, everything that I've been doing, what I thought was right, or the stories I was telling myself, I started to explore them. And I engaged with a coach at the time. I mean, I'd done psychologist, psychotherapist, psychiatrist, self-help books. I did it all.
You did lots of
Um,
research. Mhm.
lots of research. And then, I engaged with a coach in the US. She was amazing. And working through all of those stories, that I'd made up that I wasn't really even aware of, and diving deep into them and understanding them more and what was driving them. And the fact that, I could actually change it and choose how I wanted to be. That was, one of the most powerful things that I'd got from working with my coach.
Yeah.
She was absolutely incredible and total. She was actually a real lifesaver for me. That's for sure. Yeah.
Mm. About her being the external looking down and bringing out this awareness in you that you couldn't see because you were in it. Is that how you saw it?
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that makes a really good a good coach, it's, to ask the client or the coachee, questions that people aren't asking themselves. Sometimes they know the answer, but they just don't trust themselves yet. There's too much fear there, or there's trauma or whatever. And the coach will hold the space without judgment, while also challenging the client's, patterns of thinking or, limiting beliefs or their excuses. That a good coach will be the coach that you need, not the coach you want.
Yeah, that's
I'm
right.
sure you've experienced that and you are that yourself.
Yeah, yeah, that's for sure. When was the last time you truly felt seen, and what was it about that moment that has stayed with you?
Um, I think, kind of building on what I talked about just before, that moments when I feel most seen are actually, when someone reflects back, not about, my achievements, but actually about my essence, about what they see in me. When someone sees my softness as well as my strength, even though I see softness as a strength these days. When they see some warmth, my wisdom and empathy, not just what I've accomplished, because those moments stay with me quite deeply because I think many women spend years performing, they're performing their competence, and underneath it, I think they're really craving some emotional safety. And I know
Mm.
it's very strong for me for a lot of my life.
Yeah, well said. Is if you could send a message back to your younger self, a message and not advice, what would that be?
Hmm. A message, not advice. One one day, um, the things that made you feel very uncomfortable will become your greatest strengths.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, because that's the big thing that I've learned, we go through the uncomfortableness, but the sun comes up and yeah, the clarity's there.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got to go through those really tough times, and the learnings from it, and then coming out into and that's where the gold is. And
Yeah, yeah.
that's what I've found. So yeah.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
What does healing look like for you now?
Um, oh, healing. I think it's not as dramatic as it used to be, was quite a roller coaster reactive, very frenetic. But now it's calmness, and it's protecting my peace and my freedom, by choosing like how I want to be every day, to choose who I want to spend time with, and really trusting my intuition, especially
Mm.
when something doesn't feel right, and actually taking the action that I know I need to take at the time. So yeah, that's been a big one as part of my healing. So yeah, instead of outsourcing everything, and also allowing joy back into my life. I never used to trust joy. I always thought it was going to be taken away from me, which is not a great space to be in for most of your life.
Yeah,
Um, but now I trust joy, and I think that that healing isn't just about processing pain. It's about learning how to really feel truly alive, in your power. And this of course comes through doing the work. So yeah, you know
yeah,
what I mean by
wow.
doing the work, right?
Yeah.
Or just the personal growth work.
I know the work well. I feel like there's so many parallel things for you and I that different stories, but the same learnings that has come up for me. Yeah, and I really appreciate you sharing that because when hearing someone else's story, and this is what I enjoy, is it gives me actually a inner peace feeling to actually go, I'm not that weird. Other people are feeling this, and that's why I feel like community is really important because the weirdness is not there and the
Yeah.
self-judgment's not there because it's like, wow, the diversity's there and yeah, and seeing other people's perception actually helps me on my journey. Yeah, so I really appreciate you sharing all this.
Yeah, I hear you, Julie. The community thing and the sense of belonging and the sharing, builds so much trust in yourselves. When I came back from, I was living, in Monaco for 10 years, and when I returned a year and a half ago, I needed to find my tribe here. So I started this online group, which I thought was, come and meet for a coffee in person, with like-minded women for deep conversations. And so I started this group called Fab Femmes, and that was last October. And it's just like grown, and we meet once a month. And it's about community, it's about connection, it's about women feeling seen and heard and being in a safe space to, see what's possible there for them. And it's so good to see the changes in people from when they walk in the door, maybe a little bit nervous or not know anyone or, and when they leave, they're almost skipping out the door. It's,
Yeah.
it's wonderful. Really, really
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. So seeing having that in person, one like and feel the energy and have the cups fill rather than empty and just be holding space in
Yeah.
community is just beautiful. And you're witnessing that.
Yeah. And it's such a privilege to be able to do that. Really is.
Yeah. Wow. Is there anything else you'd like to share, Jerry, about, the last 50 years, I'll say?
68 years around the sun. That's okay.
I
I'm
wasn't
quite,
saying
quite,
any numbers. I thought 50 was
no, that's
safe.
okay. I'm quite open about my age. Um, I think it's, understanding that, the main thing is the fear that's there that we all have. We all have fear. And to know that it can be your ally when
Mm,
you let it, when you really want to look at it, when you want to be courageous enough and strong enough to face it, because that's where the gold is in life.
yeah. I really appreciate you sharing your age because I didn't know your age, but I'm 56 and a lot of people I see myself as round and a lot of people around me are square. And they're at the time when they're retiring or and it's like, I'm not ready to retire. Financially, I'm not ready to retire, but also I've got so much to give. And knowing that you're like 68 and going, wow, I can still be doing this in my 70s and be out there and sharing. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate that because I see so many people just, I don't know, stopping life.
Mm.
In that retirement, they're at home. What TV is going to be on next? It's like, I don't want that life. I so don't want that life.
Yeah. No, and I think it's wonderful, Julie, and there's so much to enjoy in life at any stage, and just because we've reached a certain number, I think it doesn't mean anything,
No.
whatever you want it to mean.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. I have really loved having a chat with you, Jerry. And if I'm ever down in Sydney, I want to come to this, what is it? Fab Fem.
That Bems.
Yeah, that would be brilliant because
Well,
I'd
I would
love
love to
to.
have you there as my guest.
Yeah, thank you. I will try and manifest this because, yeah, it's to go and just hear other people's stories and just be in other people's space is just, especially, because they're wanting to be deep and personal or deep and meaningful
Yeah.
and really, really empower self, I think is what lights me up. Yeah, rather than you see them going around with their dimmer switch on.
I like that. Or I don't like that, depending how you look at it.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing this moment with us. I hope something in this conversation stayed with you, opened something up in you, or simply made you feel seen. If this episode moved you, feel free to share it with someone who might need it too. And if you'd like to continue the journey with us, be sure to subscribe and stay connected. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember your story matters. Thank you, Jerry. Also, Jerry's links are all below on if you want to reach out to her and follow her on her social media. Sorry, Jerry, I forgot to say that. Links
Thanks, Julie.
below. Thank you.